All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and I know what a lot of you guys are gonna say right away. This is a Marvel Future Fight channel. This is a gaming channel, and this has absolutely nothing to do with gaming or Marvel Future Fight. And honestly, if that's what you think, click off the video because wrong you are. Right? We take a break here, a small break from all the Silver Surfer content to cover some major news in the MCU because this will definitely affect Marvel Future Fight in a very, very large way. So, as you can see from the title here, Spider-Man is now officially pulled out of the MCU by Sony over profit sharing dispute with Disney. And yeah, this is where we are right now, boys. This is where we are. And immediately you guys should know what I'm going to say. This means the Spider-Man that we know and love, right, may never see another MCU uniform in Marvel Future Fight. And I say may because I'm hoping that these two titans, these two giants can come together and figure out how they want to share the profits, because ultimately the ones who lose out the most, right, sure, they're going to lose billions from doing this, right, but the ones who lose the most are the fans, right, because many of us, I don't know who you are, I don't know about you guys, but personally, right, I think many of us grew up loving Spider-Man. If you grew up in the 80s, 90s, or even in the early 2000s, Spider-Man is probably up there in terms of your favorite superheroes, right? And yeah, he's a big part of my childhood. So reading this today really broke my heart, because with him now being pulled out of the MCU, it means that Sony may want to do their own thing like they did with the Venom movie, right? And because Spider-Man is such a big name in terms of like movie franchise, Spider-Man can definitely hold his own regardless of whose name is attached to it, whether it's Sony or Marvel, right? Spider-Man is guaranteed to make money, and Sony knows that, and that's why they're not willing to compromise on this ridiculous deal that they have with Disney. But they gotta realize that the ones who lose the most are the fans, man. You guys really, you have so much money already, and I'm sure you're gonna say, yeah, it's all about profit. But man, it really sucks to see the kid get kicked out of the MCU because he does such a good job. I don't know how you guys personally feel about Tom Holland, but damn, the kid does such a good job portraying Spider-Man in such a fun and relatable way. So seeing him put all that work into the character just for them to snatch it away from him because of money, it really sucks. Because I don't know about you guys, that scene in Infinity War, to this day I think about it, man. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Honestly, that had me on the verge of tears. Honestly, boys, I don't know about you guys, but that moment right there is when I fell in love with this kid as Spider-Man. Truly fell in love with the character because he does such a good job. He makes you feel, you know what I mean? Like, he really brings you in and you're able to enjoy every moment. And I really love this kid. So it really sucks to see that they're snatching him out of the MCU over a financial dispute that they could have resolved. But let's take a look at this news article. I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys, and you guys let me know what you think of this whole thing, because it kind of ruined my day for the most part, because many of you guys know already, I love Spider-Man as a character, right? One of my all-time favorites. I grew up on Spider-Man, right? So I want him to be one of the best characters in Marvel Future Fight, and he's not that right now. Now, I'm not saying just because he's not going to get another MCU uniform, it doesn't necessarily mean that he'll never get another uniform. But with Spider-Man being featured in the MCU, it's always a guaranteed new uniform, and basically another opportunity for Netmarble to finally fix their wrongs and give us the Spider-Man that we all truly want, because we didn't get that with the two new uniforms that he received for Spider-Man Far From Home. A lot of us are still very bitter about it, and we had a small glimmer of hope because we seen how this movie ended, and we're like, yes, another one is coming, another opportunity for Spidey to rise. And that hope was snatched away from myself and many of us today with this news from Sony. So it really sucks, and I'm gonna let y'all read along with me here, right? And I can definitely understand where Kevin Feige is coming from. And I can also understand where Sony's coming from, because they know that they don't have to compromise, because they're guaranteed to make money with somebody like Spider-Man. They may not make as much money as they would by having Marvel's name attached to it, but they're definitely guaranteed to make money. And I feel like the reason why Kevin Feige originally agreed to this deal was simply for the fans, because personally, if I was in his shoes, I don't think I would have agreed to this, right? From a business standpoint. But let's take a look at what this news article has to say, and you guys can let me know what you think. So, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has pulled out of producing future Spider-Man movies due to dispute between Sony, which still holds the rights to the character, and Marvel's parent company Disney over revenue sharing from films starring our favorite web-slinging hero, according to a report from Deadline. The news means that Spider-Man's appearance in Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe films, as well as crossovers from characters like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man or Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury in the future Spider-Man films, could end with Spider-Man Far From Home, released earlier this summer, right? So it means that Sony may do their own thing like they did with Venom, but no more crossover, no more link up with the Avengers, none of that for Spidey, and it really sucks. So yeah, and the reason why this really hurts me personally is because just like how Venom got his own movie from Sony and that never made it into Marvel Future Fight as content, this means that if Spider-Man gets another uniform, which he probably will if Sony takes over and start making their own standalone Spider-Man films, it means that those uniforms, those looks will never make it into Marvel Future Fight. So that really sucks. Let's take a look at the rest of this article right here. So the issue is money. Of course, it always comes down to money. According to Deadline sources, the issue is money. Disney reportedly asked that future Spider-Man films be 50-50 co-production between Disney and Sony, instead of the current deal, which is said to give Marvel and Disney 5% of gross box office revenue. That is insane. Imagine working together with somebody and they take 95% of the money when you're doing 50% of the work, probably even more, and you have the bigger name recognition, right? You're pulling in more money that they could ever see on their own, but they're gonna look at you and give you 5%. Oh my goodness, that is madness. And the fact that they put up with it is quite shocking, right? Because they really didn't have to. And that's why I said, I feel like the reason why Kevin Feige originally agreed to this deal was for the fans, right? But ultimately, I guess they just couldn't do it any longer because they see that they could possibly take a no-name superhero. Let's say, for example, somebody like MODOK. They could probably make a MODOK movie with literally the smallest budget possible and probably end up making more money than they get from this deal with Sony, right? It's just madness, right? It's just madness, because when they see the amount of money that they're raking in on a Spider-Man film and just how little they're getting from it, when their budget is probably in the 10-15 million range, right? It really sucks. Anyways, let's take a look at what the rest of this article has to say. That's significant money. Spider-Man Far From Home made over $1 billion at the box office, which translates to more than 50 million for Disney. Again, imagine working together with somebody, co-producing something, and they make $950 million and you get 50 million. 50 million is good, but keep in mind that also has to cover your budget, what you originally had to spend to get the movie made. That's crazy, absolutely crazy, right? But it's nowhere close to the total that the solo Feige produced Spider-Man movies have brought in for Sony. Far From Home recently became the most lucrative film Sony's ever made. Like, seriously, the level of greed these guys at Sony have. Like, they'd rather pull Spider-Man out of the MCU completely than have a 50-50 split with Disney. That is absolutely insane. And that's why I feel like they plan to just make their own Spider-Man film, because they know people like me that just straight up love Spider-Man are gonna buy the tickets anyway, right? So that really sucks. It really sucks, man. Anyways, let's take a look at what the rest of the article has to say. Disney apparently feel that its stewardship of the franchise and the ties to the MCU films like Avengers Endgame, which eventually added a Far From Home trailer as a post-credit scene for its theatrical release, are responsible for those numbers. And it wants a bigger piece of the pie. And can you really blame them? Right, 5% off $1 billion is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Sony apparently disagreed, and now it seems that the two studios will be going their separate ways again. Oh my goodness, it's so heart-wrenching. It really is, right? According to Deadline's report, Sony apparently feels that the combined creative team of director John Watts, who helmed Spider-Man Homecoming and the sequel Far From Home, actor Tom Holland, and producer Amy Pascal will be enough to keep the Spider-Man franchise momentum going for future films, even without Feige's involvement. So this is basically telling us right here that Sony plans to do their own movies. Thankfully, they're keeping the kid because he does such an amazing job with the character. But damn, it really sucks because any uniforms that Spider-Man gets in the future will probably never make it into Marvel Future Fight, right? Because Marvel Future Fight is owned by Disney and you can't use Sony products. So it really sucks, man. It really sucks. There's more here, right? And I'm gonna let you guys read the rest of it on your own. Link will be in the description. I want to know how you guys feel, right? Marvel Studios and Sony first agreed on a deal over Spider-Man in 2015. That was 4 years ago, right? And I was hoping it would be a long-term deal that wouldn't see us back where we were just a few years before that, right? It's just sad, man. It really is sad. But let me know how you guys personally feel about this. I won't keep you guys too long because most of you guys probably don't even care about this, but I think it really sucks because Spider-Man's future in this game kind of depends on him getting new uniforms, right? Or at the very least one more uniform, which I'm sure that Marvel can still do. They can still reach into the comics, right? But just having MCU movies come out for Spider-Man just gives us that assurance, right? That we're definitely going to get something for Spider-Man, and it gives us a timeline. Whereas now we're just going to be waiting, and eventually they may give us something else for Spider-Man. Maybe they'll make it line up with when Sony has a movie for Spider-Man, but we really do not know. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. Link to the full article will be in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. If you don't care, that's completely fine. But I think it really sucks. And yeah, this one hits home, boys. It really does.